I've been meaning to make videos about what I've come to believe about life, because I believe it to be true. I mean, at least to the degree that I label and say what I mean of it, but I think it is reflective of the truth. And I'm having trouble because it's been fucking with my PTSD, quite frankly. When I had my break, I had delusions of grandeur, and just wanting to talk about the simple true ideas of what I believe has been feeding into that. So I've kind of been hesitant about doing the video because I just didn't want it to get all gummed up. But I've been sitting here thinking, just make it and be honest about how it's playing out with you. So, here we go. When I had my break in 2019, there was a moment that an idea came to me, and it stayed with me. Because I really do believe it's true. I mean, I can't give you a whole lot of reason and stuff. But it was a notion of a sandbox in a playground. It's the idea that everybody here at one point was standing around the sandbox saying, let's jump into the sandbox and play. You pretend to be this and I'll pretend to be that. We'll jump and we'll play. And then we play, and as we're playing, we forget, that we decided to play. And then we start getting angry at each other because, no, you're not supposed to do it like that. You're supposed to do it like this. We start arguing and fighting. But, at the end of the day, and when we're done playing, we get out of the sandbox. We look around and realize we have another life that we have to go to, mom, dad, or, school. And that what we played in the sandbox isn't so important, but we did learn a little bit about the other person that we fought with. I kind of think this life is like that. For you gamers out there, it's like going into the game and you run around and do your stuff and you die. And so your character comes back in, and the next time you do it, you know a little better about how to manage the game. And everybody you play with, in the end, is no longer that. If you play with friends that you know local, you talk about the game, you have fun joking about the game, but you're not actually living it. It was an experience you guys had together in a circumstance that's not exactly where you are when you talk about it. I think that's life. We worry so much that there's some higher rule book to living. Excuse me. There isn't. We know in this life exactly what life is, except that it doesn't tend to fit with everything we've been told that life is. We know it inherently. It's just that it got stepped on and contradicted by people who didn't know. The truth of where we are, it's just a place where things happen. And sometimes we are ignorant, and sometimes we're aware. And that could happen to one person in one life, or it might be one life was incredibly ignorant, and the next life is incredibly aware. But the point is, we all came here to play. And we take it way too damn seriously. how would it be for you? Think about this. Because if you listen to certain people, Esther Hicks, even Deepak Chopra, and I wish I had more names because I keep using the same people. If you listen to them, and I just had a brain hemorrhage, I'm hoping I'm still on track. I'm going to have to edit this because my PTSD is creeping up on me. Give me a second, and I'll be back to you. We take this too seriously. Like there's some grand importance. The religions and everything have God's expectation of us to be, we have to, no. We're here to have fun, each and every one of us. We're here to enjoy every moment. And the conflicts between us are just what they are. It just grew into a global scale of conflict. Nations. You can be a little ticked that your neighbor plays the music a little too loud. And hopefully, he'll be understanding enough when you talk to him. But that's as far as the issues go. The differences that we look at each other and then put those differences in context of the right and the wrong. We're all right. We're all accurate to our subjective understanding. There's a level of understanding, a perspective outside the sandbox. You have to look at this experience as not that serious, not that important. Because we're here to have fun. And if you're not having fun, you're taking it too seriously, but you think, but wait, I have to be serious because responsibility is serious. No, it's just owning what you do. So there's got to be something I must feel really serious about. Why? Is that how you want to feel? You know, you can have a career and do the things you love and have a wife or a husband or, you know, however you are, and not feel that feeling is serious. And you'll still manage to fulfill your obligations that you've committed to, that you have committed to. Because it's just as valid for you to say, okay, I'm in this circumstance. I don't want to be here anymore. I'm just going to leave it. It is okay to do that. You still have to deal with anybody who had expectations of you. Sorry, this is the introduction of this in a weird way for me because I wanted to be so absolutely clear on what I was going to say. I just knew the sandbox metaphor was where I wanted it to start. And I'm hoping the PTSD won't keep wrapping around my desire to speak to you guys on this because I think it's meaningful in the same vein as the same reason that Louise Hay came out and spoke. Because of what she went through, it caused her to look at a lot of stuff. And this is the difference. People whose lives are fairly simple, straightforward, and they deal with the normal, average, understood, everyday complexities and issues, don't usually have an occasion to look so deeply and so closely at everything they experience. They got no reason because everything's going fine. Those of us who have been in positions where we've really been forced to dig deep into everything we've experienced, you start to realize things about your fear. You start to realize things about what people have said to you. I'm being vain, my hair's sticking up. And you start to realize that none of it was ever important. We talk about love. Love, in its simplest form, is the experience of who you are when you have no obstructions, no feelings of obligation, and no feelings of worry. It's not something you give to people, but it compels different actions to people when you experience the feeling we call love. Because I can love somebody without ever feeling obligated to them. I can love somebody because we have shared so much that I want to do things for them. But that's not the love. The love is the part that says that I am in a place where the outcome of what I do isn't important. That the prior relationship with the person isn't important. What is important is I maintain that feeling that we call love. Because there's a whole lot of levels of dynamics that happen when you have an interpersonal relationship that we attach to love. The very simplest is sex. But there are levels of other feelings that we just put in a line with love. And they're all wonderful when they line up with the feeling of love. But they aren't love. Sexual abuse survivors deal with this most specifically. It's the direct association between love and physical interaction. There are desires and feelings to be included. And it would be a horrible world where you didn't feel accepted. But the truth is, underneath all of that, you are. And you are included and accepted. And I'm meandering a little, so I'm going to leave it at this as a hopeful start point, so that I can at least get the things out that I want to say that I think are meaningful and helpful to people. And maybe I can get this PTSD under control so that I can do it. But I'm kind of glad to be able to speak to you this way again. And hopefully there'll be more. Because my move here has been useful, but it has been a challenge. But I'll leave it at this, because otherwise I'm just going to start searching for things to say. So I want y'all to have a really good night. And the y'all didn't come from the fact that I'm in South Carolina. It came from the fact that the English language lost the general U a long time ago. Look it up if you're curious. Good night.